Well, we talk about the economies, economics, tariffs, taxes. We talk about all these things, and I've always tried to be wary of talking about them from just the 30,000 foot view, what this means for macroeconomics. Not that that's not unimportant, but what does it mean on the ground for people? Somebody who's really, really, really good at this, probably the best in the country at this, is Salena Zito, salenazito.com. By the way, she has a free newsletter, I should point out. Wonderful author, writer, Salena Zito. She's always talking about these things. Salena, I have in my possession, you and I have talked about this before, from my childhood in Ohio, a little penknife my father gave me, God rest his soul. And on that penknife, it says Weirton Steel. That was the kind of family we were. Where is Weirton Steel today?
Scott, I mean, actually, what makes it so sad is it's still standing there. It's just, and if you have any images left in your memory, it is this big, as President Trump would say, this big, beautiful plant. It's massive. It's miles along the river, and it fed and made lives prosper for 100 years in that valley, in the Ohio Valley. And it's now, as of last year, it's gone. There was an economic trade agreement in the Biden administration that killed them on tariffs. And so, that was the end of it. And just for perspective, it wasn't just the largest employer in the region, it was the largest private employer in the entire state of West Virginia.
Salena, people don't really take that into account. And it's understandable. Everyone has a different lot in life, a different perspective. But when I was a child, I lived in Toronto, Ohio, everybody worked for the plant or something plant adjacent. If you didn't work at the plant, you worked in a diner that served breakfast to the guys who worked at the plant. The plant was the town. What did people like Joe Biden do to destroy the plant?
Well, it's been years and years of bad economic decisions, bad trade deals, lots of tariffs that have made the industry in our country non-competitive. Even though we make the best steel in the country, it is as cheap. It is not as cheap as what you get from other countries, in particular China. China is basically the bad guy in this, and their steel is also inferior. If people read the story that I wrote, there is as you said, an adjacent industry that uses US Steel. But if US Steel goes away, he is left with very few options to purchase steel for the military vehicles that he makes. And because the Chinese steel is just bad, it's just not good, and he's not going to put our military in inferior products.
Why is Chinese steel bad?
It's just made cheaply. It's not made well. They don't have the same work ethos there that they have here. You have the same access to the kinds of minerals. I mean, it's very mineral rich in West Virginia, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Indiana, and Michigan, places where steel thrived. It's the best of the best in terms of making the product, but also the workers are the best of the best. I mean, read that story. Those guys take this incredibly seriously. It's not a job. They're artisans, and it is a calling. And they don't think they're doing something that's good for them. They think they're doing something, they believe they're doing something that makes American lives better, safer, and it is part of being something bigger than self. They almost look at it as very patriotic.
You're, of course, referencing a wonderful article you wrote. You sent it to me from West Mifflin, Pennsylvania. Tell me about it.
West Mifflin, Pennsylvania is in the Mon Valley. There are 3 US Steel plants there. There is the Irvin Works, which I was in with you see the beautiful photos of the rolling mill. There's all those, so the Edgar Thomson Works in Braddock, and the Clairton Works, only coke makers in the entire country. You need coke to make steel. And they are all in jeopardy with the sale of new US Steel to Nippon. Now, initially, these workers didn't really care for the idea of being sold to a Japanese company. You have to remember, US Steel is the first billion-dollar company in the world. It was the largest company in the country when it was founded in 1902. And so the idea of US Steel being Nippon Steel is like, wait a minute, right? Japan, those are the guys that were dumping steel in the 70s. And so but after talking to the executives at Nippon, after meeting with them, hundreds and hundreds of times since December of 2023, the local steelworkers, local 2227, are on board with this sale. Because they're going to invest in that rolling mill that you're showing. It's 86 years old. It was so awesome to be there and see it function and work, to watch these guys work. But it needs billion-dollar refitting to be redone. And Nippon has offered, I think, up to $7 billion. They have offered to keep the name US Steel, and the headquarters still in Pittsburgh. Now, the only two people that were against it last year was the head of their union, the United Steelworkers International, which is based in Cleveland, and Joe Biden. Donald Trump was not as sort of vocal about not doing the deal. You know, with him, there's always sort of a nuance. And he has been meeting since February with the Prime Minister of Japan, the head of Nippon, the head of US Steel, and the local steelworkers to get a deal done. I expect we will see one not too distant future.
President Trump also talked yesterday about coal. Here he was.
For 4 long years, Joe Biden and congressional Democrats tried to abolish the American coal industry. They did everything in their power while he was awake, which wasn't much, shutting down dozens of coal plants, banning coal leases on federal lands, and putting thousands and thousands of coal miners out of work.
The first of these executive orders it may be one of the most significant executive orders of your administration thus far. This directs all departments and agencies of the federal government to end all discriminatory policies against the coal industry. This ends the leasing moratorium that prevents new coal projects on federal land, and it's going to accelerate all permitting and funding for new coal projects to allow the coal industry to flourish under your leadership, sir.
That's great. Thank you.
Salena, that probably matters for the Rust Belt a little bit.
It matters a lot. I've been in a couple dozen coal mines. Coal mine is not what you think it is. It's not a guy with a pick, crawling underground. It's a very technology-driven industry. It's a very clean industry. The industry has changed dramatically in the past 15 years. That was another one of my great thrills as a reporter, to be able to go down into the coal mine, ride the man car out to the coal wall. It only takes a couple hours to go from that coal wall up to processing, onto a short line railroad, onto a barge, into a coal-fired power plant, and lighting up your house. And we need an abundance of energy. We are now, it was the arms race when when I was young. Today, it's the race for AI dominance. Those AI-powered data centers desperately need electricity, and a lot of it. They're not going to be able to get it from solar or wind. They're going to get it from 3 entities: natural gas, coal, and nuclear. They just announced a natural gas power plant in Western Pennsylvania that's shovel ready. It's ready to start next week. 10,000 jobs, $10 billion invested in this power plant. That doesn't even include the jobs and the build out for the AI powered data center. Look for a lot of that across the Rust Belt because the infrastructure is already there.
She is Salena Zito. By the way, I want to encourage you to go buy her book, Butler. She was there when they shot Donald Trump in the head, so go pick that up. It's, of course, wonderful, like everything she writes is. Salena, thank you, ma'am. I appreciate you. I would thank you for coming to my YouTube channel, but I know how brilliant it is, and I know you love it here. So subscribe and watch. We're going to start really ramping things up and putting some funny stuff, some interesting stuff out there, some collaborations. Either way, my YouTube channel is officially the place to be. So stick around.